Do not bend your boundaries for love. One of the worst things you can do to your sense of well being, for those boundaries that are there to protect you, is flex and stretch them out of the initial frame you set them for that you determined was required for you to be healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally, for out of the love for someone else. Because all it does ultimately is hurt both you and that person that you claim that you love, because you're teaching them in an indirect way that certain actions that goes against something that is there for you to be healthy is okay on some level. And the reason this becomes one of your biggest kryptonites to your boundaries is because it becomes that weakness that is hard for you to work against. Why? Because the reason that we would bend our boundaries for love isn't because we just want to treat ourselves poorly. It's because you're trying to be compassionate to maybe some sort of a struggle or obstacle that you know the person you love has. Maybe some trauma that you know they experienced in their past or in their childhood that you know they don't mean to be a certain way, do certain things. So you try not to be as harsh on them and then, walk away from them or, become really defensive or attacking to them because of this, right? You try to nurture them through that by being more lenient on boundaries that are there to preserve you. And where it can sound admirable, what you're really doing subconsciously and in the background, in the shadows, is slowly chipping away at the structure, the framework you need that helps you, be the best person that you like to be, living to the sense of identity that you identify with, living to the standard of living that you require. Because slowly but surely, you let that one comment go by, that one action go by, right? You let that way they operate in your environment slide a little bit more. And in the very beginning, you're like, it's no big deal. We're working through it. I'm here, got your back. I know what you're dealing with and what you're trying to work through. And then it gets to a space to where you are literally not practicing self-love for yourself while you're trying to love on them. This is why it's so crucial to properly vet the people we decide and choose to be exclusive with, then be committed with, and choose to love. Because once you've made that choice to love them, it becomes so much harder to stand your ground on the framework you set, your boundaries that are there to protect you physically, mentally, and emotionally whenever it matters most, because now that emotional bond you have to them is going to want to do more for them than it is for your own sense of well-being, so you could be the best you for the relationship by, allowing there to be excuses and allowing their issue that they're dealing with or a thing they haven't conquered for themselves or obstacle, right, to get more excuses and more of a crutch by what you're going to allow leniency for versus standing ground on what you require for you to be a healthy person. And so one day you look up and you're operating in a few different ways that don't align with how you actually see yourself. When you scale back, you look in the mirror and you say, wait a minute, am I being the reflection of what I really see myself as or who I see myself as internally? And the answer is always going to be no, because now you're starting to bend, you're flexing yourself around your partner's unhealthy ways instead of standing ground and saying, if you can't honor these boundaries, I can respect that, but I have to do this for me now. I need to pull my value out of the equation. I need to go this direction. And see, it doesn't have to be a non-loving act to do that. After you've given someone a chance to work through their traumas and things, if they haven't done it yet, haven't championed for it enough, or not being consistent, not making the progress, it's no knock to them. We all have our own journeys, but it doesn't mean you need to or deserve to sit in an unhealthy or toxic circumstance to be at your expense off of their lack of growth. You can very much still love on someone from a more associate or friend type of position. Doesn't have to be your lover, your actual romantic partner, your committed partner. That role has to be preserved and reserved for the person that can feel it in a healthy way, nothing less. This is why I always stress boundaries are not just about you. You don't set boundaries to protect yourself. They're there for the other person too. They protect both of you, because at the end of the day, none of us wants to be a bad person. None of us wants to be the one in a relationship that's saying, I am this toxic person for my partner. I make them worse. I make them sad. Who wants to be that person, right? So whenever you fail to honor a boundary and you allow that other person's lack of growth, whatever that's spatially, mentally, right, or emotionally, to where they cannot be that healthy person for you, or they're showing that they're not in a position that they're ready to receive the growth levels to try to respect and honor your boundaries, right? And you let them keep skating and sliding and stretching your boundaries out of the framework that you built them to be, you're letting them work against the ideal version of themselves they would like to be if they actually put the work in to be it. To where your very compassion for them is weakening their ability to overcome habits or challenges that they haven't faced yet and haven't put the proper work in to overcome. And simultaneously, you're chipping away at you being the healthy you deserve to be. So your main job first is always to vet the boundaries that you have. Make sure the boundaries that actually serves you is not actually a detractor from you. Make sure they're actually healthy for you, because if they're healthy for you, they're automatically healthy for the other person too, right? And so when you get clear on the boundaries that you need and you require, or as such, then you set and you enforce them at all cost, right? Even when it's most difficult to, even whenever you want to be compassionate and keep letting them slide a little bit, stand on them anyways, right? Pull your value back or out of the equation altogether if need be. Because when you do that, you're serving yourself and you're serving the better version of themselves that they actually want to be and that they need to learn the lesson of to champion to be that for themselves. Let's get it.